Hey, it's Lou here from Click Love Grow, and today I want to share with you a tutorial on how to take beautiful silhouette photography. So you may have experimented with silhouette photos before when there's been a beautiful sunset or a great color in the sky, and you may have also had some frustrations where your iPhone will take a great silhouette, but as soon as you try and use your DSLR, you get white, blown out background, and it just doesn't work. So I'm going to share how you can achieve that color. And there's actually a couple of other secrets to helping you take silhouette photos that really make you go, wow. It's a beautiful and a powerful style of photography to achieve a really unique look. So let's jump into the video. Okay, so when it comes to a silhouette, you probably think of those classic beach holiday shots where there's a palm tree that's all blacked out and you can see a beautiful sunset sky behind it. And that's exactly what a silhouette is. It's where you have the outline or the shape of your subject and then you have the light source behind it. Now, in order to achieve this, when we're taking photos with our DSLR, the first thing you need to do is actually get out of auto mode so that instead of exposing for your subject, which is what we normally do, you actually want to expose for the sky behind it. Oftentimes, if you're shooting in auto, you'll focus on your subject, you'll take a photo, and the sky will be all white and all the colors disappeared. So in manual mode or in TV mode, and then I would say increase your shutter speed, and as you're increasing that shutter, notice how your subject gets darker and darker and the color comes back into the sky. Now, if your subject isn't completely blacked out, that's okay, we'll come back to that. So shooting in manual mode is the first step to getting the color in the sky that you want to achieve your silhouette. So the next step in taking a great silhouette is to consider the positioning of the sun or the light source in relation to your subject. Now, to achieve the classic silhouette look, you want your light source to be behind your subject. So you have light source, subject, you. And the positioning of the sun can actually make a difference in terms of whether you include it in the photo or you have your subject blocking it out, or you could choose to move your camera and move your composition so that the sun is just outside. And that's personally my favorite way to take silhouette shots, is to see where the sun is setting, position my subjects, and then move the camera slightly so that the sun isn't included. Now, the reason I do this is because I don't want to include the sun flare or the brightness for the sun in that particular instance. But that's okay if you do. You can be as creative as you like. Another consideration is to simply wait until the sun has completely set. Oftentimes that's when you'll get an explosion of color as the sun has dipped below the horizon, and that's also a great time to shoot. So the next consideration to think about for a really strong silhouette is actually the shape that you create. So if you take a silhouette photo of a subject and it's kind of me sitting here slumped over, you're just going to get a dark blob, and that's not very effective when it comes to composition. Instead, you want a subject that has strong shape and strong lines. So whatever that is that you decide to create with people as a subject, or if it's a building or an inanimate object, find yourself positioning it in a way that we can see what the outline is and choose to include or exclude elements where the shaping is really strong. So as an example, when I'm taking photos of people in a silhouette setting, I will position them very carefully so that I'm getting, the side profile of the face, or I'll create strong shape and line in the movements that they're doing. So if a group of people, I'll spread them out and get them to hold hands. If you clump them in all together, again, you're going to get an outline of a shape of people, but it doesn't have much meaning, and compositionally it doesn't feel strong. So the next consideration to think about is how you use negative space. So you can choose to get in really close to your silhouettes, or usually what looks really great is to actually step back and to include a lot of that sky and the color so your subjects, are reasonably small within the frame. Using that negative space gives us some context to the photo, particularly if it's a beautiful horizon or there's some landscape in the photo, and it also helps it to feel compositionally balanced. So the next step that I like to include and that you should really consider in your photos is actually to add some movement. And so instead of having someone standing still, on a beach perhaps with a great sunset, why not include some movement into the photo to really elevate the composition and maybe even tell a bit of a story? So you could have your people jumping, or you can have people like kissing so that their noses are touching and you're getting close. There's lots of opportunity here to have fun and be really creative whilst creating a great shot. As you're positioning your subjects, I often like to get really low. Like if I'm taking beach silhouettes, I will lie in the sand shooting up at my subjects. That way I get as much sky as possible. If you're standing up and taking a photo of someone on the beach, there'll be sky, there'll be water, there'll be sand, and it kind of breaks up the shape and doesn't let the shape be in that full sky. But as soon as you get low, lie yourself down on the ground, shoot up, that angle is going to make a huge difference. So I would definitely recommend getting low and seeing how that changes your compositions. Now, the final point that I wanted to touch on to really strengthen your silhouettes is post-processing. So many times, and particularly if you're shooting in RAW, you can bring your photo up in an editing program and maybe it didn't quite capture the color in the way that you saw it. Or potentially when you exposed for the sky and got the right balance of settings there, your subject isn't as dark or as blacked out as you'd like it to be. So bringing your photo into a post-processing program such as Lightroom, I would encourage you to increase the blacks. So you can use the slider to increase the blacks and really darken out the subject so you have their strong shape. You can add a little bit of contrast if you like, and a little vibrancy to bring out that color and make it look really strong in the same way that you saw it. So they're my steps for taking a great silhouette photography. As I said, it's a lot more than just getting the exposure right. There is so much you can do with the way that you position yourself in relation to the subject, how you pose them, and the angles that you use to get those really strong, clear shapes. So to help you with your silhouettes, why don't you grab our free recipe settings. I have a silhouette example included in there so that you can get an idea of where to start on the settings to take for a great silhouette photo. It's totally free. You can download it and start using it right away at clicklopro.com/recipe and have lots of fun.